Commander Hannah called a meeting of all military leaders. They gathered in a secure room deep beneath the surface of Earth. The room was made of solid rock and metal. No signals could. The stars above Kepler 22b were beautiful that night. They burned like tiny diamonds against the black sky. The colony below was quiet and peaceful. Children slept in their beds. Parents watched old movies from Earth. Workers finished their evening meals after a long day in the mining facilities. Admiral Una sat in her office on the battleship Eternal Dawn, 3 star systems away. She was reading reports about trade routes and supply shipments. It was boring work, but someone had to do it. Her coffee had gone cold an hour ago. She did not notice. On Kepler 22b, a young girl named G1 could not sleep. She was 12 years old. She sat by her window and looked at the stars. Her father worked in the mines. Her mother was a teacher at the colony school. They had moved here from Earth 5 years ago. G1 missed Earth sometimes, but Kepler 22b was home now. She saw something strange in the sky. A light that moved too fast to be a star. Then another. Then 10 more. Then hundreds. The lights grew bigger. They were ships. G1 had seen human ships before. These were different. They were shaped like long black daggers. They had no lights except for the glow of their engines. G1 felt something cold in her stomach. Fear. She did not know why, but she was afraid. The first explosion happened near the mining facility. The ground shook. G1 fell from her chair. She heard her mother scream from the other room. Her father was at work. He was at the mines that were now burning. More explosions followed. The black ships flew low over the colony. They fired weapons that G1 had never seen before. Green beams of light that turned buildings to dust. Missiles that left craters where homes used to be. G1's mother ran into her room. She grabbed G1 and pulled her under the bed. "Stay quiet," her mother whispered. Her voice was shaking. "Stay very quiet." Outside, people were screaming, running, dying. The attack lasted for 2 hours. The Valrathi Empire had sent 50 warships to destroy a colony of 3,000 people. They did not land troops. They did not try to capture anyone. They simply killed every building, every vehicle, every person they could find. The Valrathi were an old species. They had traveled the stars for 10,000 years. They believed they were the greatest civilization in the galaxy. Humans were new. Humans were weak. Humans had taken a planet that the Valrathi wanted. This was their punishment. When the attack ended, the black ships flew away. They left behind fire and smoke and death. The colony that had taken 10 years to build was gone in 2 hours. G1 and her mother survived because their house was small and far from the center of the colony. The beam weapons had missed them. But when they crawled out from under the bed, they saw that half their house was gone. The wall had been torn away. They could see the burning sky. G1's father did not come home. He never would. 300 kilometers above the planet, a small emergency beacon activated. It was automatic. When the colony's main communication system was destroyed, the beacon turned on by itself. It sent a simple message into space, repeating over and over. "Help. Attack. Kepler 22b. Help." The message traveled at the speed of light. It reached the nearest human relay station in 4 hours. From there, it jumped through hyperspace to the military command center. From there, it reached Admiral Una. She was sleeping when her second-in-command woke her. Lieutenant Doan stood at her door. His face was pale. His hands were shaking. "Admiral," he said, "something terrible has happened." Una read the message. Then she read it again. Then she threw her coffee cup against the wall. It shattered into 100 pieces. How long ago? She asked. 16 hours, Dawn said. The attack happened 16 hours ago. The message took time to reach us. 16 hours. Whatever had happened was already over. There was nothing she could do. No rescue mission could change what had already been done. Do we know who did this? Yuna asked. The beacon recorded energy signatures before it was damaged, Dohan said. The weapons were Velrathi. Yuna closed her eyes. The Velrathi. Of course, it was the Velrathi. They had been angry ever since humans settled on Kepler-2b. They said the planet belonged to them. They said they had claimed it 500 years ago, but they had never built anything there. Never sent colonists. They just wanted to own it. Humans had followed galactic law. They had applied to the Galactic Council for permission to colonize. The Council had approved. Everything was legal. Everything was proper. And now 3,000 people were dead. Set course for Kepler-2b, Yuna ordered. Maximum speed. And send a message to Earth Command. Tell them what happened. Tell them everything. The Eternal Dawn was one of the fastest ships in the human fleet. It still took 18 hours to reach the colony. When Yuna looked at the planet through her view screen, she felt sick. The colony was gone. Where buildings had stood, there were only black marks on the ground. Where parks had been, there were craters. The mining facility was a twisted pile of melted metal. Smoke still rose from the ruins. Yuna sent rescue teams to the surface. They found survivors. Not many. Jiwan and her mother were among them. 217 people out of 3,000. Everyone else was dead. The rescue teams also found bodies. So many bodies. Workers in their uniforms. Children in their pajamas. Families who had tried to hide together. The Velrathi had not cared who they killed. Old or young. Sick or healthy. They had killed everyone they could. Yuna walked through the ruins herself. She needed to see. She needed to remember. She found a toy on the ground. A small stuffed bear, half burned. She picked it up and held it in her hands. Admiral, Doan said behind her. Earth Command is calling. They want a full report. Yuna did not turn around. She kept looking at the bear. Tell them I will report when I have something to report. Tell them to prepare for what comes next. What comes next, Admiral? Yuna finally turned. Her eyes were hard, cold. The kind eyes of the woman who read boring reports were gone. Something else had replaced them. War, she said. What comes next is war. On Earth, the news spread slowly at first. Then it spread like fire. 3,000 dead. A civilian colony destroyed. Children murdered in their beds. The faces of the dead appeared on every screen. Their names were read on every news program. The people cried. People screamed. People demanded answers. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. They sent a message to Earth. We are sorry for your loss. We urge calm. We urge negotiation. Violence will solve nothing. The alien species in the Council were old. They had seen wars before. They had learned that war was expensive. War was wasteful. Better to negotiate. Better to accept payment for the dead. That was how civilized species behaved. The Velrathi Empire sent its own message. They were not sorry. They said the humans had stolen their planet. They said the deaths were unfortunate, but necessary. They offered to pay compensation. 10 million galactic credits for each human life. A generous offer, they said. On Earth, people heard this offer. They did not want money. They wanted justice. Captain Taiho was chosen to speak for humanity at the Galactic Council. He was young for such a job. Only 35 years old. But he had a gift for words. And he understood what humans were feeling. He traveled to the council station. It was a massive structure floating in empty space, home to diplomats from 100 species. The meeting hall was enormous. Thousands of aliens sat in curved rows, looking down at the central platform. Taiho walked to the platform alone. He was a small figure in that vast room, but his voice carried to every corner. "We have received your messages," he said. "We have heard your offers of compensation. We have listened to your calls for negotiation." The aliens nodded. Good. The humans were being reasonable. "And we reject them all," Taiho continued. "Every single one." The room went silent. Then it exploded with noise. Aliens shouted. Translators struggled to keep up. The council leader, a being with gray skin and 4 arms, raised its hands for quiet. "Captain Taiho," the leader said, "perhaps you do not understand our ways. Negotiation is how civilized species resolve conflicts. War brings only more death." "I understand your ways perfectly," Taiho replied. "You think death can be paid for. You think murder can be forgiven if the price is right." He paused. "Humanity does not share this belief. Then what do you want?" The leader asked. Taiho looked around the room. He looked at the Valrathi diplomats in their expensive robes. They seemed bored, annoyed, like this was a waste of their time. "We want justice," Taiho said. "Real justice. The kind that cannot be bought. And if the Valrathi refuse to give you this justice?" Taiho smiled. It was not a happy smile. "Then we will take it ourselves." He turned and walked out of the hall. Behind him, the aliens began to argue. Some were angry. Some were worried. None of them understood what had just happened. But they would understand soon. The whole galaxy would understand. Back on Earth, Commander Hana received her orders. She was the head of military operations. A small woman with short black hair and eyes that never seemed to blink. She read the orders twice. Then she began making calls. "Recall all ships," she said. "Every single one. Cancel all leave. Cancel all training exercises. I want every ship we have ready for combat in 72 hours. "Commander," her aide said, "that has never been done before." "The logistics alone." "Then figure out the logistics," Hana interrupted. "We are going to war. And we are going to win." In the ruins of Kepler 22b, Jiwan sat with her mother in a refugee transpo. The first shots came from the human fleet. Not missiles. Not energy beams. Something different. Small silver objects that flew faster than anything the Valrathi had ever seen. They crossed the gap between the fleets in seconds. "What are those?" Lord Ravith demanded. His tactical officer stared at his screen. "I do not know, my lord. They are too small to be weapons. Too fast to be scouts." Then what? The silver objects hit the Valrathi ships. They did not explode. They attached themselves to the hulls. Then they began to burrow. Within minutes, the Valrathi fleet was in chaos. The silver objects were cutting through metal like it was paper. They were destroying power systems, navigation controls, weapons arrays. Ships that had been ready to fight were suddenly dead in space. "Electronic warfare devices," the tactical officer said. His voice was shaking. "They are disabling our systems from the inside." "Destroy them," Ravith shouted. "Get them off our ships." But it was too late. By the time the Valrathi crews found the devices, the damage was done. Over 2,000 ships lost power in the first 10 minutes of battle. They floated helplessly, unable to move or fight. Admiral Yuna watched from the bridge of her ship. The eternal dawn. She felt no satisfaction, only cold determination. Phase 1 complete, her tactical officer reported. Enemy combat capability reduced by 30%. Good. Begin Phase 2. The human fleet moved forward. But they did not attack all at once. They split into smaller groups. Each group targeted specific enemy ships, command vessels, communication relays, supply transports, the things that held an army together. Lieutenant Minho led the first assault squadron. He was young, only 28 years old, but he had trained for this his entire life. He knew every weakness of Varathi ship design. He knew exactly where to strike. Target the engine sections, he ordered his pilots. One pass. Make it count. His squadron dove toward a Velrathi command carrier. The enemy ship tried to fire at them, but their weapons were too slow. Human fighters were small and fast. They danced between energy beams like insects, avoiding a swatting hand. Minho lined up his shot. He fired. His missiles hit the carrier's engines perfectly. The massive ship shuddered. Its lights flickered. Then it began to drift, powerless. Target neutralized, Minho reported. Moving to next objective. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out. Human ships struck with surgical precision. They did not waste ammunition on unimportant targets. They did not destroy ships that were already disabled. They focused on one goal, ending the battle as quickly as possible. The Velrathi fought back. They had more ships. They had bigger ships. They had weapons that could destroy a human fighter with a single hit. But they could not aim those weapons fast enough. They could not coordinate their defense. The battle was happening too fast. Lord Ravith screamed orders from his throne room. Form defensive lines. Protect the flagship. Counterattack. But his orders were not reaching his ships. The humans had destroyed his communication relays. His fleet was blind and deaf. Each ship fought alone, without knowing what the others were doing. 2 hours into the battle, the Velrathi had lost half their fighting strength. Not destroyed. Disabled. Human ships flew through the wreckage, making sure each enemy vessel was truly out of commission. They did not kill unless they had to. This is impossible, a Velrathi general said. He was standing beside Ravith, watching the battle through the palace's main view screen. How are they doing this? They planned, Ravith said quietly. They did not come here to fight. They came here to execute a plan. Every move they make was decided weeks ago. Then we have already lost? Ravith did not answer. But in his heart, he knew the truth. The battle was already over. They just had not realized it yet. Commander Hannah received reports every few minutes. Casualty numbers. Ship positions. Enemy status. She processed the information quickly and gave new orders. The enemy flagship is trying to escape, an officer reported. It is heading for the northern blockade. Send the Third Fleet to intercept. Do not let them break through. Yes, Commander. The Third Fleet moved to block the escape route. 50 human ships against one massive Velrathi warship. The enemy flagship was the largest vessel in the Velrathi military. It had weapons that could destroy a moon. It was Lord Ravith's personal command ship, but it was also slow and damaged, and running out of options. Admiral Yuna led the intercept force herself. She wanted to be there when this ended. Attention Velrathi flagship, she broadcast. You are surrounded. Tower down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. This is your only warning. The flagship did not respond. Instead, it fired everything it had at the human ships. Energy beams, missiles, plasma cannons. The space around it turned into a storm of fire and metal. Yuna's ship shook as a beam passed close to its hull. Warning lights flashed. Damage reports came in. Minor damage to outer hull, her engineer reported. Shields holding. Continue approach. All ships, focus fire on their weapon systems. The human ships returned fire, but they did not aim to destroy. They aimed to disable. Weapons platforms were targeted and destroyed one by one. Engine nacelles were damaged. Communication arrays were torn away. Within an hour, the flagship was a floating wreck. It could not move. It could not fight. It could not even call for help. Flagship neutralized. Yuna reported to Commander Hana. Enemy resistance in this sector has ended. Excellent work, Admiral. Move to support the Eastern engagement. Yes, Commander. The battle continued, but it was no longer really a battle. It was a cleanup operation. Human ships flew through the debris field, accepting surrenders, rescuing survivors, making sure no enemy vessel could threaten them again. 4 hours after the deadline expired, it was over. The Volrathi military had been destroyed. Not a single warship remained in fighting condition. Over 7,000 ships had been neutralized in less than 6 hours, and not a single Volrathi civilian had been harmed. That was the part that shocked the galaxy most. The humans had won. They had crushed the most powerful military in the sector. But they had not killed anyone who was not fighting. They had not bombed cities. They had not poisoned water supplies. They had not used any of the terrible weapons their history said they possessed. They had simply removed the threat efficiently, precisely, almost surgically. Lord Ravith was captured trying to escape his palace. Human soldiers found him in an underground bunker, surrounded by his last loyal guards. The guards surrendered when they saw how many humans there were. Ravith himself did not surrender. He tried to fight. He drew an ancient sword from his belt and charged at the nearest human. To human. A woman named Sergeant Yunji stepped aside and knocked the sword from his hand. Then she pushed him to the ground and held him there. Lord Ravith, she said, you are under arrest for crimes against humanity. You will be transported to Earth to stand trial. You cannot do this, Ravith snarled. I am the ruler of an empire. I answer to no one. You answer to the dead, Yunji replied. And there are 3,000 of them waiting to see you face justice. Across the Vorathi homeworld, similar scenes played out. Military leaders were captured. Generals, admirals, anyone who had played a role in the massacre. On Kepler 2-2b, the humans had a list. They knew every name, every face, every person responsible. They took them all. That they did not touch the civilians. Human soldiers walked through Velrathi cities without firing a shot. They helped repair damage from the space battle. They provided medical supplies to injured people. They acted like guests, not conquerors. The Volrathi people did not know how to react. They had expected destruction, revenge, the same treatment they would have given a defeated enemy. Instead, they found mercy. Why? A Volrathi citizen asked a human soldier, "Why are you helping us?" "We killed your people." "Your leaders killed our people," the soldier replied. "You did not. We do not punish the innocent for the crimes of the guilty. That is not how war works. That is how human war works." On Earth, the news spread quickly. The battle was over. Humanity had won. The murderers would face trial. In the refugee center in New Seoul, Ji-won watched the final reports. She saw images of Lord Ravith being led away in chains. She saw the burning wreckage of Volrathi warships. She saw human soldiers helping Volrathi civilians. She did not know how to feel. She had wanted revenge. She had wanted the Volrathi to suffer like she had suffered. But this was different. This was not revenge. It was something else. Something cleaner. Her mother sat beside her. "How do you feel?" she asked. Ji-won thought about it. "I feel peaceful," she said. "I did not expect that." "Justice can bring peace," her mother said. "Revenge cannot. Is there a difference?" "A big difference. Revenge is about making yourself feel better. Justice is about making sure no one else gets hurt." Ji-won nodded slowly. She thought about the human soldiers helping Volrathi civilians, the same species that had killed her father. The humans were helping them anyway. That took strength, she realized. Real strength. The kind of strength that did not need to hurt others to prove itself. I want to be like that, she said quietly. Like what? Strong enough to do the right thing, even when it is hard. Her mother smiled and pulled her close. You already are, my love. You already are. Commander Hannah returned to Earth 3 days after the battle. She was greeted as a hero. People lined the streets to welcome her. Commander Hannah called a meeting of all military leaders. They gathered in a secure room deep beneath the surface of Earth. The room was made of solid rock and metal. No signals could. The message was simple. 32 words in basic galactic standard language. It was broadcast on every frequency, every channel. Every communication system in the known galaxy received it at exactly the same moment. To the Volrathi Empire, you have committed murder against humanity. You have 48 hours to surrender your military leadership for trial. Failure to comply will result in consequences. That was all. No threats of destruction. No promises of fire and death. Just a simple statement and a deadline. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. On the council station, diplomats from every species gathered to discuss the message. They were confused, worried. Some were laughing. The humans have lost their minds, the representative from the Marathi collective said. They cannot be serious. They seem very serious, the council leader replied. Its forearms moved nervously. I have studied humans for many years. They do not make empty threats, but they must know they cannot win. The Volrathi Empire has 10,000 warships. The humans have perhaps 5,000. The math is simple. Math is not everything in war. On the Volrathi homeworld, Lord Ravith received the message in his throne room. He was surrounded by his generals and advisors. They watched the human broadcast together. When it ended, Ravith laughed. It was a loud, harsh sound that echoed off the stone walls. 48 hours? He said. 48 hours to surrender? These humans are either stupid or insane. Perhaps both, my lord, one of his generals said. The others laughed with him. Send a response, Ravith ordered. Tell them we do not surrender to insects. Tell them their worlds will burn if they continue this foolishness. Yes, my lord. The Volrathi response was broadcast 6 hours later. It was much longer than the human message. Lord Ravith spoke for 10 minutes about the power of his empire. He listed all the species they had conquered, all the worlds they had destroyed. He called humans children playing at war. He said they would regret their threats. You have 48 hours to apologize, Ravith concluded. Or we will teach you why the galaxy fears the Volrathi. The humans did not respond. Not a single word. Commander Hannah watched the Volrathi broadcast in silence. She was on the command ship Victory, leading the fleet toward Volrathi space. Around her, 4,000 ships moved through hyperspace. The largest military force humanity had ever assembled. Should we respond to that? Her aide asked. No, Hannah said. Actions speak louder than words. We have said what we needed to say. The countdown continues then. The countdown continues. The galaxy watched and waited. 48 hours was not a long time, but it felt like forever. News channels talked about nothing else. Experts argued about what would happen. Some said the humans would back down at the last moment. Others said the Volrathi would surrender to avoid war. Both were wrong. On Earth, life continued as normal. People went to work. Children went to school. The news talked about the deadline, but most people were calm. They trusted their military. They trusted their leaders. They knew that whatever happened, humanity would be okay. In the refugee center in New Seoul, Jiwan watched the news with the other survivors of Kepler 22b. They sat in a large room with screens on every wall. Some of them were crying. Some were praying. Some just stared at the screens with empty eyes. Jiwan was not crying. She was counting the hours. 36 hours left, she whispered to herself. 35 hours and 59 minutes. Her mother sat beside her. She held Jiwan's hand tightly. "Are you scared?" her mother asked. "No," Jiwan said. "I want them to pay. I want them to understand what they did. Revenge will not bring your father back. I know, but it might stop them from hurting anyone else." Her mother did not have an answer to that dot in the throne room of the Velrathi homeworld. The mood was changing. The first reports were coming in from scouts at the edge of their territory. Human ships had been spotted. Lots of human ships. How many? Lord Ravith demanded. "Our scouts counted over 4,000, my lord," a nervous general reported. "But there may be more. The humans are using some kind of sensor disruption technology. 4,000 ships is nothing. We have 10,000. Yes, my lord. But their ships are moving very fast. Faster than we expected." Ravith frowned. "How fast?" "They will reach our homeworld in 36 hours. Just before the deadline expires." This was unexpected. Ravith had assumed the humans would stay near their own territory. He had not expected them to come directly to his doorstep. "They are bluffing," Ravith said. "They want to scare us into surrendering. It will not work. What if they are not bluffing, my lord?" Ravith glared at the general. "Are you suggesting we surrender? That we hand over our military leaders to be judged by humans?" "No, my lord. I am suggesting we prepare for battle." "Fine. Call our fleets. Position them around the homeworld. If the humans want to fight, we will give them one." The Velrathi military machine began to move. Ships from across the empire started heading home. Defense platforms were activated. Ground forces were mobilized. The purple planet at the center of the Velrathi Empire became a fortress. But there was a problem. The Velrathi Empire was large. Very large. Their ships were spread across hundreds of star systems. Calling them all home would take time. Time they might not have dot 20-4 hours before the deadline. Only half the Velrathi fleet had arrived. The rest were still in transit. Lord Ravith was getting nervous. He did not show it, but his advisors could tell. He paced back and forth in his throne room. He snapped at anyone who brought him bad news. He drank more wine than usual. "Where are the rest of our ships?" he demanded. "Coming, my lord. They will arrive in 12 hours. That is not soon enough. We can delay the humans. Send messages. Pretend to negotiate." Ravith shook his head. "The humans already said they do not negotiate. They will not believe us." He stopped pacing. He looked out the window at his beautiful purple sky. He had ruled this world for 200 years. He had fought in 100 wars. He had never lost. But something about this situation felt different. Wrong. The humans were too confident. Too quiet. They acted like they had already won. "Double the patrols," Ravith ordered. "Triple the guards around military installations. And find out everything you can about human military tactics. I want to know how they fight." "Yes, my lord." The information came within hours. The Velrathi Intelligence Service had files on every species in the galaxy. The human file was thick. It contained military records, strategic analyses, historical data. Ravith read it all. When he finished, his face was pale. "My lord?" An advisor asked. "What did you find?" Ravith did not answer immediately. He was thinking about what he had read. The human wars. The millions dead. The weapons they had created. The bombs that could destroy whole cities. The viruses that could kill whole populations. Humans were not like other species. They did not fight for territory or resources. They fought because they were hurt, because they were angry, because someone had threatened what they loved, and they did not stop fighting until their enemy was destroyed. My lord? The advisor repeated. The humans, Ravith said slowly. They are not bluffing. What do you mean? I mean they are coming here to kill us. All of us. And they will not stop until they succeed or die trying. The advisor looked confused. Surely they must know they cannot win. We outnumbered them. Numbers do not matter to humans. They have fought wars against impossible odds before. They have won wars against impossible odds. They do not care about mathematics. They care about justice. Then what should we do? Ravith turned away from the window. His face was hard now, determined. If the humans wanted a fight, he would give them one. He had not survived 200 years by being afraid. We fight, he said. We fight with everything we have. And we destroy them before they can destroy us. 12 hours before the deadline, the human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Volrathi star system. 4,723 ships hung in the darkness like a swarm of metal locusts. Commander Hannah stood on the bridge of the Victory. She looked at the tactical display. It showed the Volrathi homeworld ahead. It showed the enemy fleet surrounding it. Over 7,000 ships. They still outnumber us, her tactical officer said. They do, Hannah agreed. But numbers are not everything. What are our orders? Wait. The deadline has not passed yet. We gave them 48 hours. We will honor our word. The ships waited. Hours passed. The two fleets faced each other across millions of kilometers of empty space. Neither side moved. Neither side fired. The tension was so thick it was almost visible. On the Volrathi homeworld, Lord Ravith made a decision. He called his communications officer. Send a message to the human fleet, he ordered. Tell them we want to talk. The officer looked surprised. You want to negotiate, my lord? I want to buy time. The rest of our fleet will arrive in 6 hours. If we can delay the humans until then, we will have a significant advantage. Yes, my lord. The message was sent. The humans responded within minutes. We will listen, the human message said. But our terms have not changed. Surrender your military leadership for trial. That is all we ask. Ravith sent a counterproposal. He offered land, money, promises of peace. Anything to delay the attack, the who? They cheered. They cried. They thanked her for bringing justice to the dead. She did not feel like a hero. She had known 5 years had passed since the Battle of the Volrathi homeworld. 5 years since humanity had shown the galaxy what it meant to cross them. 5 years of change. The Galactic Council was in session. Representatives from over 300 species filled the great chamber. They had gathered to discuss something important. Something that had never been discussed before. Ambassador Sora stood on the central platform. She was tall and calm, with silver-streaked black hair and eyes that had seen too much. Before becoming an ambassador, she had been a military officer. She had fought in the battle. She had watched the Volrathi Empire fall. Now she spoke for humanity. Thank you for inviting me to address the council, Sora began. Her voice was clear and steady. I understand there are questions about humanity's actions 5 years ago. I am here to answer them. The council leader, a new one elected after the old one retired, raised 2 of its 4 arms. Ambassador Sora, the council has been debating for months. Some members believe humanity's attack on the Volrathi was justified. Others believe it was an act of aggression. We need clarity. I will give you clarity, Sora said. 5 years ago, the Volrathi Empire murdered 3,000 innocent humans, men, women, children. They killed them without warning and without mercy. They offered us money to forget." She paused. Let the words hang in the air. We did not forget. We could not forget. Those 3,000 people were our family, our neighbors, our friends. Their deaths demanded justice, and justice is what we gave them. A Varathi representative stood up. The empire still existed, though it was much smaller now, much quieter. They had lost most of their military power and much of their territory. Justice? The representative said. His voice was bitter. You call destroying our fleet justice? You humiliated us. You took our leaders. You made us weak. We took the people responsible for murder, Sora replied calmly. We did not harm your civilians. We did not destroy your cities. We did not enslave your people. You are still free. You still have your culture, your homes, your families. Can you say the same about the people of Kepler 22b? The representative had no answer. He sat down slowly. This is what the council must understand, Sora continued. Humanity does not seek power. We do not want to conquer the galaxy. We do not want to rule over other species. We only want to live in peace. But peace requires safety, and safety requires that others know the consequences of attacking us. The Varathi learned that lesson. We hope no other species needs to learn it. The council leader leaned forward. Ambassador, your words are powerful, but some fear that humanity has become too powerful. You defeated the Varathi in 6 hours. 6 hours. What is to stop you from doing the same to any of us? Our values stop us, Sora said simply. We believe in justice, not conquest. We believe in defense, not aggression. We did not attack the Varathi until they attacked us. We gave them 48 hours to surrender peacefully. They chose to fight, and if they had surrendered, then there would have been no battle. Their leaders would have faced trial. Their military would have been reformed, but no one would have died. That is what we wanted. We take no pleasure in killing. We never have. The chamber was silent. The representatives were thinking, processing, trying to understand these strange creatures called humans. Finally, a representative from the Marathi collective stood up. Our species had been watching humans for centuries. They were scientists, observers. They tried to understand everything. I have studied humans, she said. Their history, their psychology, their biology. I believe I understand them better than most. Please share your understanding, the council leader said. Humans are pack animals, the representative explained. They form strong bonds with their families, their communities, their species. When one human is hurt, all humans feel the pain. This is not a weakness. It is their greatest strength. She looked around the chamber. The Varathi made a mistake. They thought killing 3,000 humans would make humanity afraid. Instead, it made them angry. 8 billion humans felt the deaths of those 3,000 as if they had lost their own children. That is not something most species can understand. Are you saying we should fear them? Someone asked. No, I am saying we should not give them a reason to fight. Humans do not want war. They have fought enough wars in their history. They want peace, but they will never allow attacks on their people to go unanswered. Never. She sat down. The chamber buzzed with quiet conversation. Ambassador Sora spoke again. I came here to answer questions, but I also came here to make an offer. The council leader looked surprised. An offer? Yes. Humanity wants to be part of the galactic community. We want to trade, to share knowledge, to work together toward common goals. We do not want to be feared. We want to be trusted. She pulled out a small device. A holographic display appeared, showing a detailed document. This is a proposal for a new treaty. A mutual defense agreement. If any species in this council is attacked without provocation, all other species will come to their defense, including humanity. The chamber erupted in noise. Representatives shouted questions. Some were excited. Some were suspicious. Some were angry. You want us to trust you with our security? A skeptical voice called out. I want us to trust each other, Sora replied. This treaty protects everyone equally. If humanity is attacked, the Council defends us. If anyone else is attacked, we defend them. That is the basis of true peace. And if someone breaks the treaty? If they attack without provocation? Sora's eyes hardened. Then they face all of us together. No exceptions. No negotiations. No second chances. The chamber fell silent again. The representatives understood the implications. This treaty would end the era of small wars and territorial disputes. It would create a united galaxy, a peaceful galaxy. But it would also mean that anyone who broke the peace would face the combined might of 300 species, including humanity. We will need time to consider this, the council leader said finally. This is not a decision to be made lightly. Take all the time you need, Sora said. Humanity is patient. We have waited 300 years to reach the stars. We can wait a little longer for peace. She stepped down from the platform. The session was over, but the conversation had just begun. 6 months later, the treaty was signed. 263 species agreed to the terms. The others remained neutral, neither joining nor opposing. But no one refused outright. The galaxy had changed. And humanity had changed it. On Earth, the signing ceremony was watched by billions. People gathered in public squares. Families sat together in their homes. They watched Ambassador Sora put her signature on the document. Today, Sora said after signing, we take another step toward peace. Not because we are weak, but because we are strong. Strong enough to protect ourselves. Strong enough to protect others. And strong enough to offer friendship instead of fear. In New Seoul, Ji-won watched the ceremony with her mother. She was 17 now, almost an adult. The scared little girl who had hidden under her bed was gone. In her place was a young woman with strong eyes and a steady heart. I want to be like her, Ji-won said, watching Sora speak. An ambassador? Her mother asked. Someone who makes things better. Someone who changes the galaxy. Her mother smiled. You can be anything you want to be. The galaxy is open to you now. Ji-won had applied to the Human Diplomatic Academy. She wanted to follow in Sora's footsteps. She wanted to help build the peaceful galaxy that humanity had fought for. She was accepted. 3 months later, she left Earth for the first time. She traveled to the Galactic Council Station, where she would begin her training, where she would learn to speak for humanity. The station was huge, bigger than anything Ji-won had ever seen. Ships from 100 species came and went. Aliens of every shape and size walked through its corridors. It was overwhelming and exciting and terrifying all at once. On her first day, she got lost. She wandered through unfamiliar halls, looking for her classroom. She was about to give up when someone spoke to her. You look confused. Ji-won turned. A Varathy stood behind her. Young, like her, with purple skin and silver eyes. For a moment, Ji-won felt a flash of old fear. Old anger, but she pushed it down. I am looking for the Diplomatic Training Center, she said. I know where it is. I am going there too. The Volrathi paused. I am Kira. I am Ji-won. They looked at each other. 2 young people from species that had been at war. 2 young people who had every reason to hate each other. You are human, Kira said. It was not a question. Yes. I lost family in the war. My uncle was a general. He is in prison now. Ji-won took a breath. I lost my father in the attack on Kepler-2b. He died in the mining facility. Silence stretched between them, heavy and thick, full of ghosts and memories. Then Kira spoke again. I am sorry about your father. Ji-won blinked. She had not expected that. I am sorry about your uncle, she said. Even though he did terrible things. He did. I do not defend him. But he was still family. Kira looked at the ground. My people made a mistake. A terrible mistake. I cannot change what happened. I can only try to make sure it never happens again. That is why you became a diplomat? Yes, I want to build peace. I want my species to be remembered for something other than murder. Ji-won, no.